Commander Jake Morrison looked out through the thick glass window of his ship. Stars filled the dark space around them, and floating rocks drifted slowly past. His ship, the Horizon's Edge, moved carefully through the asteroid field. They had come here to look for metals and minerals that Earth needed. It was supposed to be a normal job, nothing special. Jake had been in space for 15 years. He had seen many strange things, but today felt different. Something was not right. His science officer, Dr. Lisa Grant, kept checking her computer screens. She looked worried. "Commander, I am getting some very strange readings," Lisa said. She pushed her glasses up and looked at Jake. "There is something inside the big asteroid over there. The one we marked as Alpha 7. Jake walked over to look at her screens. Numbers and lines moved across the display. He did not understand all of it, but he could tell something was unusual. Lisa was the smartest person he knew when it came to space science. If she was worried, then he should be worried too. "What kind of readings?" Jake asked. "Electromagnetic signals. Very strong ones, but they are not natural. Rocks in space do not make signals like this," Lisa explained. "Sir, I think there might be something artificial inside that asteroid. Something big." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Artificial meant made by someone. But who could build something out here in the middle of nowhere? The asteroid field was millions of miles from Earth. No human had ever been this far from home to build anything. "Are you sure about this?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. The signals are too regular, too organized. This is technology, not nature," Lisa said. Jake looked at his crew. There were 12 people on the Horizon's Edge. They were all good at their jobs, but they were not soldiers. They were explorers and scientists. If there really was something alien inside that asteroid, they might be in danger. "Take us closer," Jake ordered, "but keep our distance. I want to know what we are dealing with." The ship moved slowly toward the huge asteroid. It was bigger than a mountain, gray and covered with craters like all the others. But as they got closer, Jake could see that something was different about it. There were lines on the surface that looked too straight, too perfect to be natural. "Commander, the signals are getting stronger," Lisa reported. "Whatever is in there, it knows we are here." Suddenly, the asteroid began to change. Parts of the rocky surface started to move. Jake watched in amazement as sections of rock slid away like doors opening. Bright lights appeared where the rock had been. The lights were not white like human lights, but a strange blue color. "Everyone stay calm," Jake said, but his own voice was shaking. More sections of the asteroid opened up. Jake could see metal underneath the rock now. Smooth, shiny metal that reflected their ship's lights. This was not natural. This was a machine, or a building, or something else entirely. Then the biggest shock came. A huge part of the asteroid's surface split open like a flower blooming. Inside, Jake could see the nose of a spacecraft. But this was not like any ship humans had ever built. It was enormous, bigger than the largest building on Earth. The metal hull was dark gray with strange markings on it. "My God," whispered Lisa. "It's a ship, a massive ship." The spacecraft continued to emerge from its rocky hiding place. Jake watched as more and more of it came into view. It had to be at least 10 miles long, maybe more. The hull was covered with what looked like gun turrets and launch bays. This was clearly a warship, and it was bigger than anything humans could build. "Sir, I am receiving a communication signal," said Tony Blake, the ship's communications officer. "It is coming from that ship." "Put it through," Jake ordered. A woman's voice came through the speakers. She spoke English with an American accent. "Horizon's Edge, this is Captain Amy Rodriguez of the UES Leviathan. Please maintain your current position and prepare to be escorted to our docking bay." Jake was stunned. This was a human voice, speaking English. But how could there be humans out here? How could they have built something so massive without anyone on Earth knowing about it? This is Commander Morrison, Jake replied. Captain Rodriguez, I need to know who you are and what this ship is doing here. All will be explained once you are aboard, Commander. Please follow the guidance lights to Docking Bay 7. Do not deviate from the course we provide. Small lights began to appear along the surface of the giant ship, creating a path toward one of the docking bays. Jake had no choice but to follow. His small exploration ship moved slowly along the hull of the massive vessel. Up close, he could see that the ship was incredibly advanced. The metal was smooth and perfect, without any of the rough welding marks that human spacecraft usually had. The docking bay was huge. The horizon's edge looked like a toy boat next to an aircraft carrier as it settled onto the landing platform. Through the windows, Jake could see people in uniforms waiting for them. They looked human, but their uniforms were different from anything he had seen before. Commander, what do we do? Asked Lisa. Jake took a deep breath. They had just discovered the biggest secret in human history. Somewhere, somehow, humans had built the largest spacecraft ever created and hidden it in an asteroid field. He needed answers, and the only way to get them was to meet with Captain Rodriguez. We go aboard, Jake said. But everyone stays together, and everyone stays alert. As they prepared to leave their ship, Jake wondered what other secrets were hiding in the darkness of space. Jake and his crew walked through the docking bay doors into the massive ship. The corridors were wide enough for 10 people to walk side by side. The walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed to glow with a soft light. Everything looked incredibly advanced, far beyond anything Jake had seen on Earth. Captain Amy Rodriguez waited for them at the end of the corridor. She was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. Her uniform was dark blue with silver markings that Jake did not recognize. Behind her stood 6 other officers, all looking serious and professional. Welcome aboard the UES Leviathan, Commander Morrison, Captain Rodriguez said. I know you have many questions. Admiral Collins is waiting to speak with you. Admiral Collins? Jake asked. I have never heard of any Admiral Collins in Earth's space program. That is because this project has been kept secret from almost everyone on Earth, Captain Rodriguez replied. Please follow me. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. Jake saw hundreds of people working at computer stations and maintaining equipment. All of them wore the same dark blue uniforms. The ship was like a floating city with shops, restaurants, and living areas. Jake estimated there must be thousands of people living on this vessel. How long has this ship been out here? Lisa asked. 12 years, Captain Rodriguez answered. We have been waiting and preparing. Waiting for what? Jake asked. You will understand soon, she said. They entered a large room filled with computer screens and star charts. An older man with gray hair and a weathered face stood at the center. He wore the same uniform as the others, but with more silver markings on his shoulders. Commander Morrison, I am Admiral Frank Collins, the man said. I have been in charge of this project since it began 32 years ago. 32 years? Jake said in surprise. But that would mean you started building this before I was even born. That is correct, Admiral Collins said. Please sit down. What I am about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about Earth's space program. Jake and his crew sat down around a large table. Admiral Collins pressed a button, and the lights dimmed. A hologram appeared in the center of the table, showing Earth and the solar system. In the year 2089, something crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Admiral Collins began. It was not a meteor or space debris. It was a probe sent by an alien civilization. Jake felt his mouth go dry. Aliens, the word that every space explorer hoped and feared to hear. The probe was small, about the size of a car, Admiral Collins continued. But the technology inside it was incredibly advanced. We learned that there are many intelligent species in the galaxy, and they have been watching Earth for hundreds of years. Dr. Kevin Walsh, a thin man with thick glasses, stepped forward. I was part of the team that studied the alien probe, he said. The materials it was made from were unlike anything we had ever seen. The computer systems were thousands of years ahead of our own technology. We spent 10 years just trying to understand the basic principles, Dr. Walsh explained. But once we did, we realized we could use this knowledge to build ships and weapons far beyond what Earth had ever created. Why keep it secret? Jake asked. Why not tell the world about the alien contact? Admiral Collins looked sad. Because the probe's databanks contained a warning. The aliens who sent it were friendly, but they told us about others who were not. There are species out there who conquer and enslave other worlds. They look for planets with resources and weak defenses. The hologram changed to show star charts with red markers scattered across the galaxy. These red markers show worlds that have been conquered by something called the Calrith Empire, Admiral Collins said. They have destroyed hundreds of civilizations. According to the probe's data, Earth is on their list of targets. When? Lisa asked quietly. We do not know exactly. It could be years, or it could be tomorrow. That is why we built the Leviathan. Colonel Danny Parker, a muscular man with short brown hair, stepped up to the table. This ship is not just a warship, he said. It is humanity's backup plan. If Earth is attacked and conquered, the Leviathan can rebuild human civilization somewhere else. Jake looked around the room. How many people are on this ship? 12,000, Captain Rodriguez answered. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, doctors, teachers, farmers. We have everything needed to start over if necessary. The ship has manufacturing bays that can build entire fleets of smaller ships, Colonel Parker explained. We have weapons that can destroy moons and shields that can protect us from almost any attack. But our greatest weapon is surprise. No one knows we exist. Dr. Walsh activated another hologram. We also carry genetic samples from every species on Earth, complete libraries of human knowledge, and enough supplies to last for decades without resupply. This is incredible, Jake said. But how did you keep something this big secret? We told the world that many space missions failed, Admiral Collins said. Every time a rocket exploded or a satellite was lost, we claimed it was an accident. In reality, we were diverting the resources to build the Leviathan. It took materials from over 200 failed missions to complete this ship. The asteroid field was the perfect hiding place, Captain Rodriguez added. No one comes out here except for mining surveys like yours. We have been able to remain hidden while we prepared for the day we might need to defend Earth. Jake felt overwhelmed. Everything he thought he knew about humanity's place in the universe had just changed. They were not alone, and they were in danger from enemies they had never imagined. What happens now? Jake S. Admiral Collins looked at the star charts. Now we wait and hope that day never comes. But if it does, humanity will be ready to fight back. 3 weeks after Jake's discovery of the Leviathan, the waiting ended. Lieutenant Sarah Davis was working the night shift in the ship's sensor control room when her screens began flashing red warning lights. She had been monitoring deep space for any signs of alien activity, just like every night for the past 2 years. Contact, she called out, her voice echoing through the quiet control room. Multiple contacts approaching from outside the solar system. Within minutes, Admiral Collins and Captain Rodriguez rushed into the control room. Jake was also there, having become an unofficial advisor since his discovery of the secret ship. The screens showed dots of light moving toward Earth's solar system at incredible speed. How many ships? Admiral Collins asked. I count 47 large vessels, sir, Sarah reported. And they are moving faster than anything we have ever seen before. Dr. Walsh studied the sensor readings. Based on their size and formation, This looks like a military fleet. This is what we have been preparing for. Captain Rodriguez activated the ship's communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Battle stations, this is not a drill. We are now at condition red. Throughout the massive ship, alarms began to sound. Thousands of crew members ran to their positions. Fighter pilots climbed into their cockpits. Gunners manned their weapon stations. The Leviathan came alive with activity as humanity prepared for its first battle against an alien enemy. On the alien flagship, Supreme Commander Vex Thara stood on his command bridge looking at holographic displays of Earth's solar system. He was a tall creature with gray skin and 4 arms, wearing ornate battle armor decorated with the symbols of his many victories. Behind him, his officers prepared for what they expected to be an easy conquest. Report on the target world, Vex Thara commanded. The humans appear to be a primitive species, Supreme Commander, his intelligence officer replied. Our scouts report they have basic chemical rockets and a few small space stations. Nothing that could threaten the Empire. Vex Thara smiled, showing sharp teeth. Excellent. Another easy victory for the Empire. We will demand their surrender after we destroy one of their moons as a demonstration of power. The Calrith Empire had conquered over 200 worlds using this same strategy. Show overwhelming force, destroy something important, then demand immediate surrender. Most species gave up without a real fight once they saw what the Empire could do. Begin the approach to their home world, Vex Thara ordered. Prepare the planet crackers for demonstration fire. Back on the Leviathan, Admiral Collins made the most important decision in human history. After 32 years of preparation, it was time to reveal humanity's secret weapon. Captain Rodriguez, you are authorized to engage the enemy, he said. May God help us all, Captain Rodriguez nodded. Helm, take us out of the asteroid field. All fighters, prepare for launch. This is what we trained for. The massive ship began to move. Rock and debris fell away from its hull as it emerged from its hiding place among the asteroids. For the first time in 12 years, the Leviathan revealed itself to the universe. On the alien flagship, a junior officer stared at his sensors in confusion. Supreme Commander, I am detecting a large object moving in the asteroid field. Probably just a large rock, Vex Thara said without looking. These primitive systems are full of debris. Sir, it is too large to be a rock, and it is moving under its own power. Vex Thara turned to look at the display. His expression changed from boredom to shock as he saw the massive human ship emerging from its hiding place. The vessel was larger than his own flagship and appeared to be heavily armed. How is this possible? He whispered. Our intelligence said they were primitives. Lieutenant Ben Murphy sat in the cockpit of his fighter, waiting for the launch order. He had trained for this moment for 8 years, flying practice missions in the ship's massive hangar bays. Around him, 2,000 other pilots prepared their ships for humanity's first space battle. All fighters, this is Control, came the voice through his headset. Launch in 30 seconds. Target the enemy command ships first. Let's show them what humans can do. Ben felt his heart pounding as the launch bay doors opened, revealing the star-filled darkness of space. The alien fleet was visible in the distance, their ships glowing with strange lights. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. 2,000 human fighters poured out of the Leviathan's launch bays like angry bees from a hive. They moved with speed and precision that stunned the alien fleet. Each fighter was equipped with weapons based on the technology from the alien probe, making them far more advanced than anything the Calrith Empire expected to face. Supreme Commander Vex Thara watched in horror as the human fighters struck his fleet. All ships, return fire. How did they get so close without being detected? But it was too late. The human attack had been perfectly planned. The fighters targeted the alien command ships first, disrupting their ability to coordinate a defense. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as human weapons found their targets. "Sir, we are losing ships faster than we can count them," reported the alien weapons officer. "Their technology is far more advanced than our intelligence suggested." "Impossible!" Vexthara roared. "They are supposed to be primitives." On the Leviathan, Jake watched the battle through the command center's viewing screens. After a lifetime of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, he was now watching his species fight for survival against an alien empire. The sight was both terrifying and amazing. "Our fighters are performing better than expected," reported Colonel Parker. "The enemy ships appear to be caught completely off guard." Admiral Collins smiled grimly. 32 years of preparation. Let's hope. It was enough. The space battle raged for 6 hours. Lieutenant Ben Murphy flew his fighter through the chaos, dodging alien laser fire while targeting enemy ships. Around him, the darkness of space was filled with explosions and the bright trails of missiles. He had never seen anything so terrifying and beautiful at the same time. "Blue Squadron, form up on me," Ben called through his radio. "We are going after that big ship on the left." His squadron of 12 fighters swooped toward a massive alien cruiser. The enemy ship was 3 times larger than anything humans had. Built before the Leviathan, but Ben's fighter was faster and more maneuverable. The alien weapons could not track him as he dove under their firing arc. "Firing missiles," Ben announced. 4 small rockets streaked from his fighter toward the alien ship's engine section. The explosions tore through the enemy hull, and the cruiser began to spin out of control. On the Leviathan's bridge, Captain Rodriguez watched the battle through dozens of screens. Her ship's powerful weapons were destroying alien vessels one by one, but she knew this was only the beginning. More enemy fleets would come once word of this defeat reached their home worlds. "Status report," she called to her officers. "We have destroyed 31 enemy ships," reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Stone. 16 more are badly damaged and trying to retreat. "Don't let any of them escape," Captain Rodriguez ordered. "We cannot let them report back to their empire." Supreme Commander Vexthara stood on his damaged bridge, watching his fleet fall apart around him. Half of his ships were destroyed or crippled. The human fighters moved like nothing he had ever seen before, and their mothership's weapons were tearing through his remaining vessels. "Supreme Commander, we must retreat," his second-in-command urged. "We cannot win this battle." "No," Vexthara roared. "The Empire does not retreat from primitives." But even as he spoke, another of his cruisers exploded under fire from the human Supercarrier. His invasion fleet, which had conquered dozens of worlds, was being destroyed by a species that was supposed to have no real military capability. Sergeant Mike Torres led a boarding party onto a damaged alien ship that had been captured by the Leviathan's tractor beam. He and his 20 soldiers moved carefully through the strange corridors, their weapons ready. The alien ship smelled like chemicals and had a strange blue light that hurt their eyes. "Stay alert," Mike warned his team. "We don't know what these creatures can do." They found the first alien crew members in what looked like their control room. The beings were tall and gray with 4 arms, wearing armor that looked like it was made from metal and fabric. When they saw the humans, they raised their hands in surrender. "Don't shoot," one of the aliens said in broken English. "We surrender." Mike was surprised that the alien could speak their language. "How do you know English?" "We study all species before conquest," the alien replied. "But we did not know you had ships like this." Dr. Helen Carter, the Leviathan's expert on alien life, arrived with Mike's boarding party. She had studied the old alien probe for years and had learned some of their language. She spoke to the captured aliens in their own words, asking them questions about their empire and their plans for Earth. "They call themselves the Calrith," she explained to Mike. "Their empire controls over 200 star systems. They conquer worlds by showing overwhelming force, then demanding surrender. Well, that plan didn't work today, Mike said. One of the alien prisoners, who seemed to be their leader, spoke to Dr. Carter in the Calrith language. She listened carefully, then turned to Mike with a worried expression. He says this fleet was just a scouting force, she said. The real invasion fleet has over 500 ships. Back on the Leviathan's bridge, the battle was coming to an end. The last few alien ships were trying to escape, but the human fighters hunted them down one by one. Captain Rodriguez felt a mix of relief and concern. They had won this battle, but she knew larger conflicts were coming. All fighters, return to base, she ordered. Damage control teams, begin repairs immediately. Admiral Collins joined her on the bridge as the fighters began landing in the ship's huge hangar bays. Casualties? He asked. We lost 43 fighters and their pilots, Captain Rodriguez reported. The Leviathan took some damage, but nothing that will keep us from fighting. And the aliens? Complete destruction of their fleet. We captured 3 damaged ships and about 50 prisoners. Admiral Collins nodded grimly. This was just the beginning. When their main fleet doesn't return home, the Calrith Empire will send a much larger force. Jake Morrison, who had watched the entire battle from the command center, felt a strange mix of pride and fear. Humanity had won its first battle against an alien enemy, but the cost had been 43 brave pilots who would never see Earth again. What do we do now? Jake asked. Now we prepare for war, Admiral Collins replied. This victory will give us time to build more ships and train more pilots. But the Calrith Empire will not give up easily. Dr. Carter arrived on the bridge with her report from the captured aliens. The prisoners confirmed that this was a scouting mission. They were supposed to report back in 3 months. When they don't return, the Empire will send their main battle fleet. How long do we have? Captain Rodriguez asked. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year. The prisoners say their homeworld is very far from here. Admiral Collins looked out at the debris field where the alien fleet had been destroyed. Then we use every day we have. It's time to reveal the Leviathan to Earth. Humanity needs to know what we are facing. The secret was finally over. The war for Earth's survival had begun. 1 week after the battle, Admiral Collins stood before the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Every world leader sat in stunned silence as he finished explaining the truth about the Leviathan Project and humanity's first contact with alien life. The room was so quiet that people could hear their own breathing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer alone in the universe, Admiral Collins said. And we are no longer defenseless. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Some delegates shouted in anger about government secrets. Others demanded to see proof. A few simply sat in shock, trying to understand what this meant for the future of Earth. President Rachel Brooks of the United States stood up first. Admiral Collins, while I understand the need for secrecy, keeping something this massive hidden from the world's governments was extremely dangerous. With respect, Madam President, it saved our planet, Admiral Collins replied. If the Calrith Empire had known about our preparations, they would have sent a much larger force for their first attack. Dr. Lisa Grant, who had returned to Earth with Jake Morrison, presented the evidence to the world scientists. She showed them pieces of alien technology, recordings of the space battle, and interviews with the captured Calrith prisoners. Within days, every major government on Earth confirmed that the evidence was real. The world changed overnight. People gathered around television screens and computer monitors, watching footage of the space battle. Children drew pictures of the massive Leviathan fighting alien ships. Religious leaders debated what this meant for humanity's place in God's creation. But the most important change came from an unexpected source. 3 days after Admiral Collins's announcement, radio telescopes around the world began receiving messages from space. These were not from the Calrith Empire, but from other alien civilizations that had been watching the battle. Commander Jake Morrison found himself promoted to Admiral and placed in charge of humanity's first diplomatic mission to other worlds. He sat in a special communication room aboard the Leviathan, speaking with representatives of 3 different alien species. The first contact came from the Zephyrian Republic, a peaceful alliance of bird-like creatures who lived on worlds with thick atmospheres. Their ambassador, who called herself Windspeaker Kala, appeared on the screen as a beautiful being with silver feathers and large, intelligent eyes. "People of Earth," she said in perfect English, "we have waited long for a species capable of standing against the Calrith Empire. Your victory has given hope to many worlds that live in fear of conquest." The second message came from the Andorian Alliance, a group of blue-skinned humanoids who were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced technology and peaceful nature. Their representative, Science Minister Talon, offered to share knowledge and resources with humanity. "Your species shows great promise," Minister Talon said. "We would be honored to establish trade and friendship with Earth." The third contact was perhaps the most surprising. The Crystalline Collective was a group of beings made entirely of living crystal who communicated through light patterns. Their message was simple but powerful. They offered to help humanity build a fleet of ships to defend against future Calrith attacks. Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. In less than a month, humanity had gone from being alone in the universe to having 3 potential allies offering friendship and support. Admiral Morrison, Windspeaker Kala said during one of their conversations, "Your species has done something that no other world has accomplished. You defeated a Calrith invasion fleet without warning or preparation time. This makes you very valuable as allies." Back on the Leviathan, Captain Rodriguez was overseeing the most ambitious construction project in human history. Using the ship's advanced manufacturing systems and help from their new alien allies, humanity began building a fleet of warships based on the Leviathan's design. The first new ship, called the U.E.'s Defiance, was completed in just 4 months. It was smaller than the Leviathan, but packed with the most advanced weapons and shields that human and alien technology could create. 12 more ships followed over the next year. Dr. Helen Carter worked with alien scientists to improve human technology even further. The Andorians shared their knowledge of faster-than-light travel, allowing human ships to cross the galaxy in weeks instead of years. The Crystalline Collective provided new materials that made ship hulls nearly indestructible, but the most important development came from the Zephyrians. They had been fighting the Calrith Empire for over a century and knew their weaknesses. Windspeaker Kala shared battle plans and tactical information that would help humanity prepare for the larger invasion that was surely coming. "The Calrith rely on fear and overwhelming numbers," she explained to Jake during one of their meetings. "But they are not good at adapting when their enemies fight back effectively. Your surprise attack confused them completely." 2 years after the first battle, the Calrith Empire's main invasion fleet finally arrived at Earth's solar system. But this time, they found something very different waiting for them. Instead of a single hidden ship, they faced a combined fleet of human and alien vessels commanded by Admiral Jake Morrison. The second battle was even more one-sided than the first. The Calrith fleet of 500 ships was destroyed in less than 3 hours by the combined forces of the new Galactic Defense Alliance. Supreme War Leader Thexmara, who had commanded the invasion, was captured along with thousands of his soldiers. Over the next 5 years, the Alliance liberated 18 worlds from Calrith control. The Empire, which had seemed unstoppable for centuries, began to crumble as world after world rose up against their oppressors. Humanity, the species that had been targeted for easy conquest, became the leaders of the galaxy's fight for freedom. The Leviathan, the secret ship that nobody knew existed, now served as the flagship of the largest fleet in galactic history. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded over 300 ships from a dozen different species, all united in their determination to end the age of Kalerith tyranny. Standing on the bridge of the great ship, Jake often thought about that day when he had first discovered the hidden vessel in the asteroid field. Humanity's greatest secret had become the foundation for the galaxy's greatest alliance. The species that had once feared they were alone in the universe now protected worlds they had never even imagined could exist.